What's your advice for getting around Lou and Mark and establishing an overlap and getting around the right way?
Well, you use the word establish, and I think that is the key. You need to establish your overlap with somebody. And when I say establish it, I mean physically, you actually need to have an overlap. So you might want to work on that, whatever technique does that. But I think that's not really what you're asking. You're like, how do I get their buy-in, right? So I think the establishing to me, yeah, sure, there's the physical part, but then I need buy-in. I have to establish that with the competitor. They have to say, yes, you have room. And they agree. Otherwise, we're just all of a sudden we're yelling with a boat length to go, and it's not enough time to resolve it. So I want to do that early.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so here we are. We're coming down. Let's make the 3 boat length zone. Here's the leeward mark. And as we're coming down, 3 boat length zone is somewhere right about here. So to me, if I'm this blue boat and I'm trying to establish rights on this room, on this yellow boat coming downwind, because we're both coming in on starboard tack here. I mean, port tack doesn't really matter. But if I think I might have an overlap, I'm talking to this guy way outside the zone. I'm saying, hey, I think I've got room here. And they may say, no, I don't. Yes, I do. I think I do. Look on your transom, And if you wait till here, things go too quick.
So what happens though, at that point, you're outside the zone. He says, well, we're not in the zone yet. You can't call for room.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is typically the response when, at 5-6 boat lengths out, if I'm all the way up here, I'm coming down and I say, I just got overlap. And they're like, we're nowhere near the 3 boat length zone. And I say, I'm just establishing it for my onus of proof.
Mm-hmm. So what if you're pretty confident that you're the inside boat and that I have it? What are the steps to sort of just continue to reiterate that as you enter the zone?
What I find is like a lot of situations in racing, it's an emotional thing. The boat that is losing their rights, like they think maybe they're ahead and you finally get an overlap, it's a little hard for them to let go of that. And so just like I was saying before, I try to really emotionally establish what exactly is going on with, I'm pretty sure I get it. I'm really aggressive about saying, I clearly have an overlap. I absolutely have room here. And as we get near the zone, and if you do it soon enough, they have time to kind of absorb it and say, yeah, you're right. That's my goal.
Okay. Now, what if you are you're the outside, or let's say you're the inside boat and you're just, maybe now you're not so sure. You might, you're 6 lengths out, you go, I'm pretty good. And all of a sudden, it gets a little puff and he's ahead. And now you've asked for the room, but maybe you're not so sure you deserve it anymore.
Yeah, right. If it's right at the edge, it's back to getting their buy-in. A lot of times if it's right at the edge, and I don't think the outside boat is trying to cheat here. Usually they just, in their mind, they're going to go around the mark and you barely have an overlap. It's hard for them to get going. But, I think this is where a couple of the, really trying to establish where this zone is. One thing I talk about is we're still outside the zone. We're approaching. Okay, now we're there. That boat's in the zone. And I might even count, right? Like your boat only goes, it takes a few seconds per boat length at hull speed for most boats. So, you're only counting to 6 once you get to the zone and you're at the mark at hull speed. So it's not very long a time. So I find that people, like anything you can do to kind of prove your case, like count, or if maybe you're the outside boat and you want to prove they didn't. And so you go back and you wave your arm straight down your transom. There is no overlap. I'm looking up. I'm clearly in front of your spinnaker, that sort of thing. Anything you can do to kind of make your case better. And then there's, of course, the witness thing too. You can say, hey, Joe, Joe's over here somewhere. And you say, Joe, look, I got overlap, right? But I do find the witness thing unreliable. And here's why is, first of all, they're probably here. Like, how are they supposed to see if there's an overlap? Secondly, they got their own problems. They probably have their own room problem. And they're trying to get the spinnaker down, and it's only 6 seconds from here to here. So.
Okay, so what if there ultimately is a disagreement? How do we handle that?
Yeah, so the disagreement, I really like this part of the rule book. The rule book has the only onus of proof in the entire rule book that I'm aware of is this situation, establishing overlap or breaking overlap. So the onus in the rule book essentially says that at the last agreed upon moment, so maybe back here, I'm blue, yellow's here, and we're still, let's say we're still 6, 7 boat lanes out. And yellow says, no room, you're clearly not overlapped. And I say my thing, which we're not at the 3 boat lane zone yet, But I'm basically agreeing when I say that we're not there yet. So then we get really close and I say, I got it. But the onus says the last, and they disagree. The last time we both agreed was back here and I was not overlapped. And now the onus is on me to prove that I got it.
Mm.
And the same the other way around. Suppose I have it, and I say, I have room. And they, of course, say, we're not at the 3 boat lane zone yet. And I say, yeah, but I'm establishing my onus. And then we get here and they get a little puff and a wave, and they're like, I broke it. And I disagree. Now they have to prove it. So the last known state is cast in stone, draw a line in the sand. And that's where the onus comes in. So that's a great rule, by the way. And you have to talk about it early enough so you can establish your onus of proof.
Great tip. Yeah, I think most of us forget that. And so at the point that you, how about just quickly, you have this point of disagreement. How about some tips on, okay, then, switching you and your team into getting around the mark clean, knowing that there's a disagreement.
Yeah, so I often take the high road here. Essentially this is 1 point, 1 boat. And, if this is really close, especially if I don't have the onus on my side, if they're adamant and I say, I got it, and they say, no way. And I don't think I can prove it really cleanly. Awful big risk, and also you're kind of making a competitor angry. I don't like doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But they believe it, right? They're not trying to cheat. They don't believe you got the room. And now if you take it, boy, you're going to make them angry. And so at this point, I'm like, I'm just going to slow down a little bit, let them do the rounding. And one thing I'm really clear about here with my team is it's like, okay, we have to give up the room, even though we think we're right. But now I'm trying not to slow them down. Like the last thing I want to do is then go here. Now I slow them down and I still got to wait for them. I want them to go quickly to the mark. So I'll say, okay. And I could even choose to protest. I say protest, but I want them to go fast. So I say, you got it, go. Whether I protest or not, I want them to get around that mark quickly. I want to get on with my race.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you lose by just, driving yourself into the chaos versus just, okay, we'll get them back later. We're quicker.
Yep.
And yeah, setting yourself up for a nice wide and tight rounding or whatever it is to just, be able to sort of get away on the next leg.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So sum this up for me.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I think the summary on this is, I think the biggest thing you need to do is emotionally, verbally get agreement. I want agreement on who goes first. Of course, I want it to be me. I get to go first. I want to win. But if I can't do that, if it's a big disagreement, I'm like, I'm not going to win this battle. The onus is on me. I got no witnesses. And, I'm not totally sure myself. I'm here, the overlap's there. It's hard to really prove this. And at that point, if I can't get them to say, yeah, you got it, Mike, I want to be able to say, okay, I have no room. I agree. You go first. I just want to know who gets to go first. What I don't want, whether it's rather be me, but if it's not me, I want them to go fast. So I want to tell them they go first. And I want to establish that I'm not first so I know what to do. What I don't want is the disagreement to continue into the 3 boat lane zone. I'd say, you're on average here, it's between, 6 and 10 seconds or so from when you hit that zone till you get to the mark. That's not much time to create some kind of dialogue and agreement with your friends out there, right? you got to do it out here with 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess, and also in terms of like, boats that have 8, 10 people and spinnaker poles and stuff happening, the importance of giving up or sort of taking the high road where it might be earlier on, so that everybody on the boat is focused on getting around the mark with, as clean and quickly as possible.
Right. And if I'm the one that has to slow down and let them go, not only do I try not to slow them down by getting on their air and by letting them forget about me, I say, okay, you go, you go fast. I'll even say that you got room. I don't have room. Just go fast. And they're like, okay, thanks, Mike. And, but I'll probably take my shoot down earlier, like I kind of realized right about here, I'm not going to get it. So I might as well take my shoot down early and really clean up. And then I can have a really nice wide and tight. Maybe they've jammed it in here because they're trying so hard to get maybe they leave a little gap, and then I can kind of, establish a little bit of a lane here. So as soon as I realize I don't have it, I kind of emotionally let go too and say, okay, I'm not even going to try anymore. Now I'm plan B, take everything down early, get really set for that upwind leg and that rounding.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to go use that this weekend. No more chaos for me.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the harder things is establishing this dialogue, either when you're going super fast in a breeze, you got to do it further out. And then, suppose you got reaching boats, you're an ASIM shoe, you're in your J70 or your Melges 15 or something, and you're coming down at hot angles, this conversation is harder, even though it's more clear. Mm-hmm. Clearly this boat has room on this boat, but this conversation gets harder because you're so far away. So to me, it's all about communication, but the goal of the communication is to get buy-in. And if you can't get their buy-in that you got it, get them the buy-in that they got it so they can move on.